Hi, hello. My name is Dan O'Connell, and I am the co-founder and joint CEO of BrandLab 360. Thank you for having me today. It's a great pleasure to be able to talk to you amongst some illustrious company about the metaverse, the 3D web, or the third web. My name is Dan O'Connell. I'm the co-founder and joint CEO of BrandLab 360. I founded BrandLab 360 alongside Jen Drury back in 2015, probably way before the term the metaverse or Web3 became into the popular consciousness. And the reason for founding BrandLab 360 was actually for the fashion industry at that time where we worked. And the fashion industry and the trade of fashion in wholesale fashion was a place where relationships, human interactivity were very, very important and very crucial. And we set about building a solution for wholesale fashion appointments between brand sales reps and their buyers from retailers who were so used to building lasting relationships based around being together in person. We set about building an online solution that would facilitate that. One of the reasons why we think the 3D web, as we call it, or the metaverse or Web3, is at a kind of profound stage, is that so many of the world's population are online. The new generation of people are demanding more immersive and more interactive online experiences. So it's our view that Web3 or the metaverse is absolutely crucial in facilitating that, and is almost perfect to be the missing link of the evolution of the internet. I say the metaverse. I've been building this technology for 8 years, and I will admit that up until a couple of years ago, was it November 21, I'd never uttered the word or used the word metaverse. What is it? Metaverse, Web3, spatial web, 3D web. Is it gamification online? Is it virtual reality? For us, it's quite simple. It's using the power of the existing wonderful technology that is video gamification and applying it to enable consumers to have more enriching experiences online, which then results to better commercial outcomes. What is Web3? What is the evolution from Web 1 to Web 3 in our eyes? I think this graphic is pretty good in explaining the gateways to content, if you like. So Web 1, the mouse was gateway to content. And on Web 1, of course, it was a read-only internet. There was no way of contributing to it, really. It was a small number of contributors, and used the mouse as a gateway. And then the evolution to Web 2 was very impressive, because all of a sudden anyone in the world can self-publish, can create websites, they can sell goods on the internet. And of course, with the onset of mobile technology and social media, you're able to use our fingers as the gateway to content. And then, of course, we go into the metaverse and the use of avatars as the gateway to content in immersive environments in real time. I think I'm going to show you a clip in a moment. Actually, it's some of it. This clip some of you may have seen, and it's a clip from many years ago of Bill Gates talking on the David Letterman show about Web 1, the onset of the internet, and the kind of the naysayers that were around that, who didn't believe the internet would become a thing. And I think it's important to show it, because I feel there's still half or maybe more of the world who believe that Web3 will be the way that most people access the internet in the near future. And then there is the other half of people, or maybe more, who don't. I believe it's inevitable. I believe there's a cascading cultural shift from Web 2 to Web 3. I think it's happening, and I think it's unstoppable. And I think there's a really fundamental and simple reason for it. That being, humans are wired to be together. They're wired to be connected. And when humans are connected, they do business. From prehistoric times, on the early onset of when people traded, people congregated together. And when they did, they formed markets and they bought and sold to each other. It's a human condition that we trade, and we trade more prolifically when we're together. So if you think of millions and millions of years went by of that happening, and then the internet came, and then all of a sudden people are asked to do business online as a sole experience on their own, looking at a 2D screen, which is totally alien to them from what the humans have been used to forever. So I think Web3 is the perfect kind of solution to it, because it enables real-time collaboration. It enables people to shop together, to be online together, and it's more akin to human nature. So although the technology of Web3 or the underlying technology or the theory of it, which I believe is video gaming, has been around for a long time, that in itself has always monetized itself on collaboration and people building things together. So I believe that Web3, or the spatial web, or 3D web as we like to call it, it is inevitable, because it gives more enriching consumer experiences and human experiences and much better commercial outcomes. Those two things, along with efficiencies it can provide in non-retail situations, and the efficiencies it can provide in value chains, along with all the other bits of Web3 tech like blockchain and smart contracts, I believe it's an inevitable solution. Here is the said clip.
But I think about this, and what about this internet thing? Do you know anything about that?
Sure.
Well, what the hell is that exactly?
Well, it's become a place where people are publishing information.
Right.
So everybody can have their own homepage. Companies are there, the latest information. It's wild what's going on. You can send electronic mail to people. It is the big new thing.
Yeah, but it's easy to criticize something you don't fully understand, which is my position here.
Go ahead.
But I can remember a couple of months ago, there was like a big breakthrough announcement that on the internet or on some computer deal, they were going to broadcast a baseball game. You could listen to a baseball game on your computer. And I just thought to myself, does radio ring a bell? You know what I mean?
There's a difference.
There is a difference.
It's not a huge difference.
What is the difference?
You can listen to the baseball game whenever you want.
All right.
Too.
Oh, I see. So it's stored in one of your memory deals.
Exactly. That's the RAM thing we talked about earlier.
Yeah. Do tape recorders ring a bell?
Okay, so love showing that clip. I believe that it neatly kind of crystallizes perhaps where we are now with Web3, with kind of the onset of this very fast growing technology, with a bit of resistance to change. As I'm talking through that, I'm just going to show a little clip of a retail experience in some of our work, and maybe just showing how interactivity and placing humans inside of an experience, inside of a website, if you like, talking to an AI generated avatar of obviously myself there is something that enriches online experiences. I think the switch from flat screen 2D with some interactive videos now and social shopping on social media directly into giving people the chance to be able to shop within an experience, to be able to manipulate products inside of the experience, to be able to use the power of gamification, where if you think about it in a game, in some of the famous games, you can do anything. You can imitate real life, but you can also do the fantastical. You can pick up objects, drive cars, fly planes. There's nothing you can't do. So for me, bringing that into a consumer shopping experience, or bringing into virtual HQs or remote working experience, events, stuff in value chains, it's an obvious thing. One thing I believe in terms of building the 3D web, there was just a quick clip there of how in one of our environments here, the consumer transacts, and you'll have noted that it's directly to the vendor's website. I think that's key. That's very, very important. I think there's a lot of great things within e-com, including obviously logistics and transactional ability, and the tech within that's excellent. I don't think that innovation directors of major companies are ready to rip up and re-engineer what they've built over 25 years in terms of their existing e-commerce infrastructure. So one thing important to us is the ability to embed existing product links into environments so people can check out as normal, but maybe also using more elements of gamification to check out in a more fun way, perhaps. We all get emails about stuff we've left in baskets. Well, obviously in these environments, the basket can float in front of you and encourage you to check out. And there's the, again, the fantastical, the virtual pet there, answering questions linked up to AI about the website itself. So I think the interactivity, the entertainment factor, we hear a term we like a lot called retailtainment, and I think it's key, because if you're entertained, if you're distracted, if you're entertained and you're not distracted, you're more likely to complete purchases. So to build the 3D web, so if we're looking at an aim of more people in the world accessing the internet via 3D web or Web 3 than Web 2, what does it need? Well, we firmly believe it's got to have two very important things. It has to have photorealistic graphics, in my opinion. It's not always been possible to do that, especially without, very high performance computers or devices or hard drives, Xboxes and that type of thing. But I believe it's crucial, because the more realistic you can make it, the more someone's immersed. But I also believe that it has to be accessible in a web browser. We have to be able to access it the same way as we currently access the internet. I love headsets. I love every aspect of this industry, but you're not going to have a mass migration of people from Web 2 to Web 3 if there's a barrier to entry. And I believe buying a headset, using a headset is a barrier to entry. It has to be really agile. You have to be able to use it on your phones. But ultimately, I believe you have to be able to go in your search engine or type www. And access the experience as you normally do the internet. Of course, marrying photorealistic graphics in real time with unlimited users and collaboration in a browser streamed is difficult. But when we started building our technology, it was the prime thing, built from the ground up with the networking architecture that enables people to log on to a browser and enter a 3D experience with realistic graphics. And for me, it's the most important thing. We talk about WebRTC and real-time collaboration. For me, it's crucial. Again, I talked about earlier about the onset of civilization, humans being wired to connect. I believe the internet as we know it is a sole experience and not akin to human nature. So for me, the very, very biggest bonus, superb kind of outcome of the onset of the metaverse is the ability for people to congregate together. That goes obviously for things like events and meetings and all those things that are crucial for human interaction, but also shopping, social shopping. There are a number of experiences that we've deployed for global brands where the commercial outcomes on sell-through rates, size of baskets, and all sorts of things are proven to be higher when people are in there together, shopping together. So it's a great human step forward for an enriched experience, but it's also a great move forward in terms of commercial objectives. So for me to build the 3D web, have to be able to have unlimited people accessing experiences, so we can again replicate real life. And of course, one thing I always say is that the onset of the metaverse is not here to replace real life. It's just to enhance and disrupt what we already do online. And I think one thing is interesting at the moment is that there are lots of Web3 companies that are around or are popping up. I guess to provide agency style support to brands as they dip their toes into virtual experiences online, and that's great and that's needed. But for me, again, to enable the movement of this cascading cultural shift from Web 2 to Web 3, you have to give the same tools and the same ease of use that currently exists. So one of the great things about the development of Web 2, or the second iteration of the internet, was websites like Shopify and Squarespace and Wix, where people could build their own websites, end users could build their own websites. So customization is very, very important, because we have to give end users the ability to do what they currently do, build their own 3D websites, just like they build their own 2D websites. But of course, there's massive advantages of building in 3D to 2D. In 2D, we can drag and drop photographs around and banners and blocks. In gamified environments, everything is a 3D model. We can really use our imaginations to create beautiful experiences, but you have to give the end users the tools to do that. And of course, in the layer of that ecosystem, there's not everyone, just like in Web 2 now, is going to want to build their own websites. So not everyone is going to want to build their own 3D websites. So we have to give developers, creatives, agencies the tools they need, devs tools, SDKs, and all the rest of it, so they can build beautiful experiences, especially for big local brands. So one thing we've tried to do at BrandLab 360 and the development of our platform is to provide these tools, and that's what we've done. Next year, actually, we are launching a dual platform to do exactly that type of thing, with the great graphics published in a browser. And in some ways, I believe that has to be as easy as building by store. And again, I believe it is, because it's like merchandising or dressing your own home on a retail experience or your own shop. Again, bringing real life behaviors online. So I believe there's great wins there for micro business and small businesses, SMEs, to build their own 3D stores, from retail stores to beauty salons, to services websites, solicitors, accountants, and everything else in between. But again, whilst also giving creatives, developers, and Web3 professionals the tools they need to create incredible experiences with great outcomes. For me, the very, very, very biggest thing to build the 3D web, and something that is non-negotiable for us, is putting consumers in the experience. Sounds simple, but of course not everyone does it. One of the kind of ways to fudge beautiful looking photorealistic experiences and put them in a browser is to take 3D rectangular photographs, screenshots of a gamified experience, and allow the user to click around the photograph like Street View of Google Earth. But to me, that's missing the point. Doesn't allow real-time collaboration, doesn't allow people to be together, and it doesn't allow the human to experience it in first or third person view. So for me, a non-negotiable is placing people inside of the experience as an avatar, or first or third person, and allowing them to explore spaces naturally, rather than clicking around a photograph, which I would call 2.5D. It's great, and it's something that we were doing 6 or 7 years ago whilst we were building our technology. But for me, we have to put people inside of these experiences and let them collaborate together and let them explore. I think one thing, maybe for me, one of the not so exciting things, but maybe the important things in terms of commercial outcomes, is we have to unlock the power of analytics of Web3. We all know the huge kind of industry around data and analytics and how important it is. And we know what e-com can provide in terms of analytics. But there's a really untapped incredible amount of analytics that can drive commercial outcomes that exist within Web3. You know, imagine imagine brands as we do now, and retailers who are able to see a live heat map of where consumers are behaving within their stores, what products they're interacting with, what blade of carpet they sat in, what displays attract them, the ability to practice in VR and then place that into their actual stores on Fifth Avenue or on Mount Street and Oxford Street in London. The ability to have that data is incredible. And of course, gamification, video gaming provides incredible access to analytics to unlock that have not previously been there. So I think the development of the analytics side is really important in this big movement from Web 2 to Web 3. And we crystallize it, connecting, collaborating, and converting. This is a kind of incredible opportunity, which at the start, you know, we're at a profound moment of history because we've got the ability to enrich a human experience whilst providing incredible conversions and outcomes for businesses. Not very often do those two things collide and work together as a partnership perfectly, but in this case we can. Just wanted to briefly talk about some of the industries that are primed for this conversion to Web3 now. I think that there is every single industry and business function in the world, every single company in the world, and every single department or function within that company can utilize Web3 for the better. But I'm just going to focus quite quickly on 2 or 3 industries where this has already been proven and outcomes are very, very strong already. Okay, I think the obvious one is retail and wholesale fashion, and retail and wholesale other industries. Again, going back to where we started wholesale fashion, it was absolutely important for the brand employee and the retailer employee to be able to feel they were together. COVID happened and they weren't able to be together, and they were having to do Zoom calls and share screen and go through line sheets, and it can't have been the best experience. Now they're able to be in perfect digital twins of the existing showrooms, walk around as avatars with their brand rep or in video as well, and pick up products, make assortments, visually merchandise live. The power of it is incredible, and there's incredible success across wholesale fashion with the use of virtual showrooms, and of course now the move into B2C, allowing people to explore. Some of the data across that is really good, especially dwell time. Obviously, you can imagine people are going to spend far more time in these experiences, which is great. But one maybe slightly unexpected, incredible result of all this is the sell-through rates, and the how many people invite friends into the experiences and all that type of stuff. But for me, this is obvious. The remote working culture now, working from home, is obviously something that's manifested from COVID. There's something incredible about being an avatar in a virtual environment in your own office. We have our SaaS Virtual HQ product launching shortly with very short loading browser time, instant access your way. All the functions that you do in a real office will be in there, but online. And I think the psychology around that's interesting, because when we're on Zoom together or doing Teams calls, it's great, we can see each other, but the minute your laptop goes down, you're immediately disconnected. And there's some psychological nuance around doing an avatar to avatar meeting, finishing your conversation, and then your colleague gets up and walks back to their office, and you track their movement, you feel where they're going. There's something much more human-like and real-life-like about virtual HQs, remote working and events, and there's some incredible, brilliant products out there already that serve the industry. But for me, that's the big disruptor within remote working. We've seen Microsoft announce what they're doing with Teams. Everyone is investing in it, and for me, it's a very obvious thing. There's been lots of psychological studies of the benefits of it, and it's an inevitable growth area and trend. For us, an unexpected huge commercial opportunity came with property development. We weren't from that industry, but we were approached by some global property developers who recognized that we could build photorealistic digital twins of buildings that are not built yet, allow people who are going to end up buying them or rent them or whatever it is to go in and look around, invite their family, sit down, visualize their lounge, their views, and feel part of it. But what came as a byproduct of that, and possibly even more efficient and more exciting, is how that can be used across the whole value chain, from planners, showing the local authorities and moving things around in real time to fit planning requirements, to architects and project managers meeting and deciding where fire escapes go in real time, and basically creating enormous efficiencies in the build of large property projects. But then right the way the other side, after sale, using the same digital twin for example, on build to rent projects in big cities all over the world. The stats that show that if someone who lives in a building is friendly with another person, they'll stay 50% longer or 25% longer. If they know 4 people, they'll stay 300% longer. And even though lots of these build to rents are always got waiting lists, there's always a 2 or 3 week turnover time when someone leaves. Those 2 or 3 weeks times by millions is a lot of money. So if property developers can encourage people to collaborate and come together and stay, they will with an enormous increase in their profit margin because of it. People are a little bit more confident when they're avatars rather than real life, and you can use digital twins of completed property projects. After all the bonuses, you've used it in the value chain and then selling them, but for then people to get to know each other in a digital twin of their home, to make them make introductions to their neighbors and friends. And again, the big thing of the metaverse, collaboration and community, it's a huge win. And that moves on to immersive learning and training, which probably is the most obvious. I think a lot of us will think that there's so much nuance around this, but just on the kind of notion that a human retains 10% of what they read and 20% of what they see, but something like 80% of what they experience. And I saw somewhere someone saying, imagine a young person in a lecture being taught about when the pyramids were built and how, but imagine transporting them there to live amongst the people who did this. So for immersive learning and training, retention, skills development, I believe that the 3D web can provide a huge benefit to society going forward and for companies in this space. We firmly believe at BrandLab 360, Web3 is the natural solution to the human-leader interaction. Human beings are wired to connect. Psychologically, we need to connect together. And social media has been a great advance in that, because it's enabled people to connect in real time via texting, photographs and videos. But virtual reality, Web3, gamification, the 3D web gives people the ultimate chance to be together and feel together when they're doing things online. Not to replace what we do in real life, but to enhance what we do in real life. I'm just going to end by showing a little show reel to be indulgent about some of BrandLab 360's work for some global brands. And it kind of neatly brings together some real world examples of everything I spoke to in my presentation. I think the overriding theme, though, is the input to build the 3D web is a number of things. For us, we always focused on building the networking architecture so that we could enable photorealistic environments in real time. We firmly believe you have to give people the tools to self-publish, to collaborate and convert. You have to be able to allow multiple people in experiences at the same time. For me, the 2.5D 3D photographs clicking around it doesn't go far enough. It's great and it provides some great outcomes, but it doesn't go far enough. We have to put people in the experiences so they can feel it. They can feel those human behaviors, what they do online. But most importantly, we have to do that without a barrier to entry. We have to do that in a web browser so consumers, businesses can do everything they do in 3D with photorealism, but as they do at the moment by going into a search engine or going into www. whatever it is and accessing these beautiful experiences. Thank you very much for listening to me today. I'm Dan O'Connell of Brand Lab 360, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.